Game wishlists are getting out of control, especially with all the new trailers dropping lately. From huge sequels to brand new IPs, here are the 20 most anticipated games coming soon. The legendary assassin we've watched in the movies is finally getting his own video game. This story explores John Wick's past and the secret world of contract killers, expanding the underworld rules and power structure fans already know. The game is built as a single-player, third-person action experience. Combat focuses on the signature gun-fu style, mixing precise shooting with close-range takedowns and smooth weapon transitions. Movement and presentation aim to match the rhythm of the films. Clean animations, cinematic camera angles, and detailed environments help recreate the choreographed action the series is known for. Driving sequences and high-intensity pursuits are expected to add variety. The story takes place earlier in Wick's career, introducing new characters while staying connected to the familiar High Table and Assassin network.
He must be grounded, stable, constant. I believe you are ready, sir.
Yeah.
February feels like a big month for horror fans. We finally got a real gameplay trailer for Silent Hill Townfall. The footage showed up during the February 2026 State of Play, and they confirmed it's aiming for a 2026 release. This time, the game switches to a first-person view. You play as Simon Ordell, a guy exploring a foggy coastal town called St. Amelia. Something is clearly wrong there. Strange creatures start appearing, and the deeper Simon goes, the more secrets he uncovers. Simon can use melee weapons and firearms when necessary, but it's not about running in and blasting everything. You have to be careful with your ammo and think before you act. Survival really comes down to how smart you play. For horror fans, this reveal marks an exciting moment. Silent Hill is returning with a new perspective, a new town, and a fresh take on psychological fear.
Leon, we're running out of time.
Why me?
The team has settled on a person of interest. A former T-virus researcher.
Because my master made you who you are.
Raccoon City was where it all began for me.
I'm coming with you.
We can talk. What do you want to know?
I don't want any more regrets. Whatever it takes, count me in.
It's been a while since you've been back there.
Yeah.
Resident Evil Requiem is shaping up to be one of the biggest horror releases of the year. It's set to launch on February 27th, 2026, and this time, the story follows two very different characters, Leon S. Kennedy and Grace Ashcroft. Grace works as an FBI analyst. She's also the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft from Resident Evil Outbreak. In Requiem, she returns to the ruins of Raccoon City to investigate her mother's death and figure out what really happened after the outbreak. The big difference here is that Grace isn't a trained soldier. She's not used to combat. That makes her sections feel slower and more focused on survival. You'll need to move carefully, manage resources, and avoid danger when possible. Leon, on the other hand, comes back as a seasoned federal agent. His missions lean more into action. He uses firearms, melee attacks, and tactical movement to handle infected threats. Compared to Grace's tense and cautious gameplay, Leon's chapters feel more aggressive and combat-driven. Lords of the Fallen 2 is one of the most talked about games because it brings back a beloved Souls-like series with improvements that many players have been asking for. Set about 100 years after the previous game, this sequel takes place in the same dark world of Mornstead, where the veil separating realms has grown thin and danger feels constant. So far, reveal footage and trailers have shown combat that aims to be more fluid and responsive than before, with faster movement, varied weapon types, and new tactical options that make each encounter feel more engaging. The developers have talked about evolving core mechanics rather than just repeating what came before, focusing on a deeper and more expressive combat experience. The visuals already look grounded and detailed thanks to Unreal Engine 5, with ruined landscapes and eerie environments that match the tone of a world under threat.
Will you harness this darkness within and deliver unto our so-called lords retribution? But should you fall, the world falls with you.
Nakwon Last Paradise has been catching attention because it mixes zombie survival with extraction-style gameplay and a day-to-night survival loop in a city that has completely fallen apart. It's set in post-apocalyptic Seoul, where you head into the ruins at night to scavenge for food and supplies, and then return to your shelter by day to manage what you found and prepare for the next run. The world feels high-risk and unpredictable. Not only do you have to deal with the infected, but other survivors are also competing for the same resources. That means every outing into the city becomes a choice between cooperation and conflict, and you have to think about whether trusting someone is worth the risk. Survival isn't just about fighting zombies. You plan routes into dangerous areas, decide what to bring back, and take care of your shelter. Crimson Moon brings a dark fantasy setting where demons and corrupted creatures have taken over a broken world. You step into the role of a Nephilim, a half-human, half-angel warrior caught between two sides of a larger conflict. The tone feels serious and focused on survival in a land shaped by war and supernatural forces. From what's been shown so far, combat looks fast but controlled. You use melee weapons along with divine abilities that add variety without turning fights into chaos. Timing and positioning seem important, especially against larger enemies that demand patience instead of button spamming. Crimson Moon looks promising because it combines classic dark fantasy themes with modern combat flow and strong visual presentation. It feels like a game built for players who want weighty action inside a serious, atmospheric world. Mudang Two Hearts opens with a tense political situation. North and South Korea are close to reunifying, but a sudden terrorist attack throws everything into chaos. In the middle of that crisis, two very different people get pulled into the same dangerous story. A North Korean Special Forces soldier and a well-known K-pop star. Their paths connect as they uncover a larger conspiracy behind the violence. What makes this game interesting is the mix of stealth and tactical shooting. From the footage shown so far, movement looks smooth and grounded. You can approach situations quietly, take enemies down carefully, or switch to direct combat when things go wrong. It also looks like players will experience the story from different perspectives, which could give more depth to the conflict and the characters involved. Aniimo introduces a colorful world where humans and magical creatures live side by side. As a Pathfinder, your role isn't just to capture creatures, but to understand them and explore how they connect to the world around you. Just like Pokemon, each creature has its own abilities and strengths. But instead of turn-based battles, combat happens in real time. You move freely, use skills actively, and react during fights, which makes battles feel more direct. The feature that makes Aniimo different is the twining system. After bonding with a creature, you can merge with it and use its powers yourself. That changes how you explore and fight. Some Aniimo help you travel faster, reach high areas, or solve simple environmental obstacles. Aniimo looks interesting because it mixes open-world freedom with creature collecting, and the merging system makes it feel different from similar games. Saros comes from Housemarque, the studio behind Returnal. But this time, the focus looks more story-driven and structured. You play as Devraj, a powerful enforcer sent to a distant planet called Carcosa, where a lost colony and strange forces are tied to an ongoing eclipse that never seems to end. From what's been shown, the planet mixes alien structures with harsh landscapes, giving the world a serious and isolated tone. Combat looks fast and aggressive, similar to what the studio is known for. Movement appears fluid, with dodging and shooting working together in tight spaces. One big change is progression. Even if you fail during a run, you keep certain upgrades, which gives a stronger sense of growth over time instead of starting over completely. Visually, the game looks sharp and cinematic, built specifically for PS5 hardware.
Madness reigns. Then everything begins again. But after every death, I always come back stronger. I know that you are here, and I will find you.
High on Life 2 brings back the weird, fast-paced sci-fi action from the first game, but on a bigger scale. You return as a bounty hunter traveling across strange planets, taking down new alien threats while uncovering a larger conspiracy in the background. The tone is still very comedic. Your guns talk, react to what's happening, and constantly comment on your decisions. That personality is a big part of what makes the game stand out. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and the humor is built directly into the gameplay. Combat stays focused on shooting and movement, but this time there's more freedom in how you get around. A new skateboard mechanic lets you move faster through areas and adds more energy to exploration.
You got this, Lizzie?
Yeah, Gene, I'm on it. Stay with me. Listen up. We are all criminals now.
Welcome to the revolution.
Project Spectrum mixes tactical first-person shooting with psychological horror. It sets players into a world changed by a strange force called the Ember, which warps reality and creates dangerous zones filled with anomalies and threats. Players take the role of elite operators sent into these Ember zones to gather intel, fight hostile forces, and uncover the truth behind the Ember's influence. Instead of sticking to a normal single-player campaign, the game blends PvP-VE mechanics, where you can face both AI monsters and other human players. Teamwork is a big part of how Project Spectrum plays. You build and customize a squad of agents, then work together to manage threats, balance limited resources, and adapt to changing environments that can play tricks on your senses. A sanity system affects how you perceive the world, pushing pressure beyond just enemy bullet. Kina's Scars of Kosmora continues the journey of Kina, now a more experienced spirit guide, headed to a mysterious island called Kosmora in search of answers about a long-standing affliction and friends from her past. This story takes her into new regions filled with spirits, secrets, and challenges unlike anything she's faced before. Early reveals show combat that feels deeper and more dynamic than before. While Kina still relies on her staff, she's also learning new elemental abilities that let her manipulate the environment and fight in more varied ways. Spirit companions also return, linked to different elements, growing stronger alongside her and giving more options in how you approach encounters. The world of Kosmora looks larger and more detailed than previous locations, suggesting players will spend more time exploring distinct areas and uncovering lore as they go.
Fear will bind you, gripping to the present, which must always pass. Regret will bind you, longing for the past you cannot change. Love will bind you, yearning for a future you will not see.
The Twilight Project puts you in a strange, forgotten village deep in the woods, where you're just a tourist at first, until night falls and everything changes. The place is cut off from the outside world, and as darkness comes, reality starts to shift, and terrifying things emerge that shouldn't be there. This is a third-person survival horror experience with a focus on atmosphere and tension, rather than non-stop action. During the day, you explore the village, set up safe spots, and try to piece together the dark history behind the place. At night, the village feels very different, with twisted creatures and a parallel world element that makes survival much harder. The horror here is inspired by Southeast Asian folklore and old legends, giving it a unique vibe compared to many Western horror games. Project Windless is set in a dark fantasy world based on the Korean novel The Bird That Drinks Tears. Instead of a typical medieval setting, the world is filled with unusual races, old conflicts, and a long history of war. You play as a Recon warrior, a tall, bird-like fighter who uses twin blades in large-scale battles. One of the first things people noticed is the sheer number of enemies on screen. Combat focuses on cutting through groups while staying mobile and reacting to threats around you. The game also aims for open-world exploration alongside these massive fights. Battles aren't just isolated encounters, they feel tied to a larger conflict, and your actions may influence how factions and events unfold. It looks like an ambitious action RPG built around scale, mythology, and shaping the outcome of war. Heroes of Jin Yong brings the famous martial arts world created by Jin Yong into a large, open-world game. Instead of following one main hero, you enter the Jianghu, a world filled with rival sects, wandering fighters, and personal honor, where your choices shape your reputation and direction. The game pulls characters, locations, and stories from several classic novels, placing them into one connected world. As you explore, you'll meet legendary fighters, witness conflicts between sects, and decide who to support. Combat focuses on martial arts techniques. Dodging, blocking, and counterattacking are important, and learning different fighting styles lets you shape your own approach to battles. Heroes of Jin Yong looks promising because it captures the feel of classic wuxia stories, while giving players the freedom to create their own path in a living martial arts world. Star Wars Galactic Racer takes racing into the Star Wars universe at a time when the Empire has fallen and the galaxy is rebuilding. In the Outer Rim, an underground competition called the Galactic League has become the new obsession, where pilots risk everything for glory, money, and reputation. Instead of traditional track racing, the game mixes high-speed sci-fi vehicles with chaotic arcade action. You can pilot pod racers, speeder bikes, and other craft, each handling differently and affecting how races unfold. Tracks span famous planets and dangerous environments, making races feel cinematic and unpredictable. A story campaign follows a mysterious racer named Shade, competing in the Galactic League while chasing personal goals and rivalries. Outside the campaign, challenge scenarios and online multiplayer let players compete against others in high-stakes matches.
The galaxy needs racing!
Castlevania Belmont's Curse takes the series back to its classic Gothic style. Monsters have begun overrunning the city of Paris, and a new Belmont warrior rises to fight the curse spreading across the land, using the legendary vampire killer whip. Instead of a modern 3D approach, the game returns to 2D action exploration gameplay. Movement is precise, and timing your jumps, attacks, and dodges matters. The whip is your main weapon, but it can also help you cross gaps and interact with the environment, adding variety beyond simple combat. Combat is straightforward but challenging. Enemies follow patterns, and learning their timing is key, while boss fights focus on positioning and patience instead of button mashing. Castlevania Belmont's Curse looks like a return to what made the series popular.
So now, we appeal to you. Trevor Belmont. Last of House Belmont.
Dragon Quest VII Reimagined revisits one of the most story-driven entries in the series with a modern presentation. The adventure starts on a quiet island where life feels small and peaceful. After discovering mysterious stone fragments, the journey expands across distant lands and different time periods, slowly revealing a much larger world. This reimagined version keeps the original story while improving pacing and accessibility. The opening hours appear more streamlined, helping players reach the wider adventure sooner instead of spending long stretches in the starting area. Turn-based combat remains at the core. Battles focus on strategy, party roles, and managing abilities rather than quick reactions. The class system returns, allowing characters to change vocations and carry learned skills forward, giving flexibility in how you build your team.
I fear something nefarious is afoot.
You need only embrace the darkness once more. Prepare to be bedazzled by the Order's might.
You insist on making life difficult for me.
I suddenly feel up for watching a scrap.
I reckon you've got what it takes.
Well, did you do as I asked?
I knew you could reclaim it from the clutches of evil. You have saved us once again. Foolish puppets. Your so-called Almighty was long since cast into oblivion at my hand.
Valor Mortis unfolds in a war-torn kingdom where the line between life and death has begun to collapse. Fallen soldiers rise again, cursed battlefields refuse to rest, and the world feels trapped in an endless cycle of conflict. You step into the role of a warrior bound to this broken land, fighting through enemies shaped by war, decay, and dark forces. The tone leans toward bleak fantasy rather than heroic adventure, with environments that reflect a history of loss and destruction. Combat looks deliberate and grounded. Weapons feel heavy, and timing matters more than speed. Instead of rushing forward, fights appear to reward patience, positioning, and reading enemy movements. Valor Mortis focuses on weighty combat, and a world shaped by war gives it a grounded feel that stands apart from brighter fantasy adventures. Pragmata follows a lone astronaut who survives a mission gone wrong on the moon and meets a mysterious young girl named Diana. With Earth in danger and systems failing around them, the two must rely on each other to survive and find a way back home. What makes this game stand out is their partnership. Diana isn't just a companion, she actively helps you move forward. From what's been shown, solving problems and staying alive depends on working together. Gameplay mix action, exploration, and puzzle solving. The astronaut handles movement and combat, while Diana interacts with technology and systems. This creates a teamwork dynamic even though you're playing solo. The setting combines futuristic lunar facilities with open space environments. Clean lighting and detailed environments highlight the isolation and danger of being far from Earth.
Up you go. Sorry, kiddo. We still got a ways to go.